Hello, my name is Christopher Blue, and I will be presenting the laws. So, the three laws today that I will be showing you are air pollution in the law, water pollution in the law, and then waste management in the law. Air pollution in the law. In 1955, many state and local governments passed legislation dealing with air pollution. The U.S. government saw this and decided that this was a problem and needed to be dealt with. In 1955, the same year all this was going on, the government passed the Air Pollution Act of 1955. This act was made to make the nation more aware of this dangerous hazard. It's crazy to me that, you know, from my research, that other states and other people had to make this known to the government for them to pass this law. The government alone didn't realize that the air pollution was bad. They had to be pretty much contacted from other people and other sources saying that this needs to be passed, nationwide. So that really, kind of stood out to me a little bit. This was the first attempt to control and maintain the air pollution. $5 million a year had to be granted for the Public Health Service to do research. And when I think about that, $5 million a year, like, that's a lot of money a year just to do research alone, just for the Public Health Service to do research. It would cost $5 million a year. I understand that, you had to do a whole bunch of research and figure out different techniques, methods, but costing $5 million annually to get this done, that's crazy. Okay, now going on, this act didn't really help much, but it made the government aware of this issue. Public health and welfare, agriculture, livestock, etc. are affected when the air is polluted. See, we can't just think about ourselves. We have to think about livestock, so like cattle, cows, sheep, any of that. Agriculture, we have to think like what we're doing now affecting the air and polluting it is affecting these types of things that that are relied on. We rely on livestock, agriculture. If we didn't have any of those things, human life wouldn't exist. But we're putting it, we're making it worse than what it is when we continue to pollute the air, and we do it on a daily basis. In 1960, research was extended for 4 more years, so that was pretty much $5 million more that they had to expend because it got extended. The U.S. produces millions of pollution each year and spends billions trying to control it. So when you think about that, the United States of America produces millions of pollution, and then turns around and spends billions trying to control it. We need to do better and reduce the millions of pollution that we cause. Then it would be less money going to that. We have money. The U.S. spends money on pretty much everything, whether it's from the military, whether it's from Social Security, whether it's just anything. But we have to spend, billions trying to control it. You know, Back then it wasn't as bad because back then they didn't have those big industrial factories, and they didn't have, you know, like now everything is relied on fossil fuels, and it's getting better because we're using solar energy, but and wind energy, but and back then they didn't know any better, but way back they didn't have what we have now, so we have to learn from that. Go. Air pollution is caused by electricity, fuels, and transportation. Fossil fuels such as coal and gas are the reasons we have pollution. So we have to start getting rid of coal and gas. We got to find other alternatives to use that would better help our planet. we've been using coal and gas for centuries. And, you know, that's why our Earth looks like this now. It's drying up, and you have global warming and all these types of things because of the air pollution. And other factors that revolve around it. You have big cars. You got the subway station, then you got big cars. Big cars that produces emissions out into the air. And you just can't have that. Many car industries nowadays are starting to create more electric cars and hybrids for these exact reasons. So when you think about, when I think about electric cars, I think about, Teslas. Teslas are one of the most expensive cars, but fully 100% electric. So they don't run on any type of gas, any type of that nature. It's fully 100. You just plug your car in and that's it. And then, we have the Prius and different cars like that. And, the Prius doesn't really catch anyone's eyes because, it's a Prius at the end of the day. Nobody really wants to drive a Prius. But we had to learn that, cars like supercars and fast cars and SUVs of that nature use up a whole bunch of gas and also put out a lot of gas, a lot of emissions. And, in the near future, we're going to have to start looking at hybrids, and because, we can't continue to go on the same track that we are now. For example, if a person were to live in Texas, their car must pass an emissions test. That's for any car in Texas. They have to pass it, and they have like a little tag that you have to have on your car. And they have to pass, your car can't be older than like 2 years or something like that. And every car has to be able to pass the emissions test. And if they don't, then you pretty much your car is non-drivable. As bad as that sounds, in New Mexico, we don't have anything like that. There's really nothing here to cause anything, but it still gets into the air. But maybe every state should have an emissions test. Maybe we should, look forward into that. Stopping pollution. Illegal dumping is not allowed. Picking up after your pets, throwing your trash properly, washing out paintbrushes in the sink, never on land. We have to use more solar energy than fossil fuels. Learning from our past will better help our future. If we keep doing the same routine over and over and over again, we'll never achieve our full goal. That is true. We have to use more solar energy. We can't just be like, oh, we don't really want to use too much solar energy. We rather just stick to the easiest way and just use fossil fuels, or we don't think about like, oh, I'm just gonna leave my pets, feces out and then not pick it up. I'll just leave it out for a week, and all that goes up into the sky. Illegal dumping, people just dumping whatever. When I talk about learning from our past, you always have to learn from your past to have a better future, even in life. We can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And then when the future comes, we're just like, what do we do? Well, that's what we have to do. We have to learn from our past, and see what we did back then. And then in the future, we'll know how to handle it. We'll know not to do that. We'll know, even to the present, today, we have to start working on progressing. Because, if we keep doing the same thing that we're doing, we're not going to have an Earth to live on anymore. The Earth is going to be inhabitable because we keep going back. We have to stay consistent and keep going forward. We can't keep going back, taking 2 steps forward and then 3 steps back. We can't do that. Okay, now we're in the water pollution. The Federal Water Pollution Control Act of 1948 was the first U.S. law to address water pollution. There were many concerns about the water being polluted. So in 1972, the Clean Water Act was established. Regulation of different discharges being put into the water was concerning. Human health comes into play when different chemicals corrupt these waters. Some of these waters, we drink. Who wants to drink chemicals? No one, right? So why do people do this to our waters if they don't want to drink contaminated water? And when you think about that, it's like, who really wants to drink contaminated water? That's not good for anybody to drink. I mean, you can die from that. So why is it okay just to dump whatever into the lake, into, an aquifer, to whatever, and then when somebody's like, would you ever want to drink contaminated water? The answer would be no. So why would you why would you do that and affect other things like animals? Like when I say the environment is affected just as much, because we have to realize that animals, plants, and anyone who drinks water. I mean, we can't be selfish about ourselves. We have to worry about plants and animals and other people who drink water. I mean, you can't throw something out and then be like, oh, it's okay. That animal might take a sip of that, or it might get onto the plants. We have to realize that animals and plants are relied on a lot. We rely on animals and plants so much, and without that, there would be no human life. We can't do something like that. We can't just dump out whatever we want and then just think that it's okay. Sources of water pollution: sewage, agriculture pollution, oil pollution affects water quality because oil and water don't mix. You could be at your house and have a cup of water and put some oil in it. They're not going to ever mix. Not, you could even stir it and it just won't mix. It's unsafe to drink, of course. It reduces oxygen. That's bad. I mean, who wants to wake up and have oxygen reducing at, even if it's at a slow or fast rate? We don't want that because we need oxygen to live, and things are affecting that. If we keep doing the same thing, we won't be able to live on this earth anymore. Radioactive substances, nuclear power plants, anything radioactive like that. People wouldn't think like watches, luminous clocks, TVs, and X-rays machines, are part of radioactive. They wouldn't think that that's radioactive, but it is, and we have to, take better precaution of that. You can't just throw whatever, out into the water, and it's just not good. River dumping, bicycles, hats, clothing. I know many times I've seen just anything into the water. If you just go by something, and that's where, where ducks live, especially in Clovis. You go to like Green Acres, or you go to, the other lake, the other not lake, the other what am I trying to say? The other water, where the park is. There's ducks over there, and you wouldn't want those ducks to be affected by that because you just casually threw something out there not thinking about that. Also, marine dumping is bad because it affects the coastal waters. Think about whales, dolphins, anything like that. Fines: people who commit these crimes can face jail or pay fines that can cost roughly $300,000 to $600,000. Who has $600,000 just spend casually? Unless you're rich, but I mean that's still close to $1 million. That's a lot of money just to give away because you wanted to do something dumb. Most people don't have that kind of money to spend, like I said, so they likely face jail time. These fines and penalties are different around the U.S. and internationally. A person can receive more punishment in Texas rather than in Mexico. I mean, it's true. Any little thing that you do in Texas is bad. You could drive and not put on your blinker, and you get more of a punishment than you would in New Mexico. Waste management law, waste management governs transport, treatment, storage, and disposal of waste. This waste can also be solid, nuclear, and hazardous waste. The Waste Management Act of 1996 it helped to prevent and recover the waste and prohibit the recovery or disposal of waste. Solutions: recycle, getting rid of plastic anything. Most of the plastic water bottles, people drink plastic water bottles on a daily basis. And that's not the best thing to do. The best thing to do is maybe have a filter at home or go somewhere that has filtered water and use that. We shouldn't be using plastic water bottles every single day. Maybe one plastic water bottle and then you fill it up, that'd be the better thing. But just to get a plastic water bottle from your cabinet and then just drink it and then go back, in 30 minutes and then get another one. And then what do we do with that? We throw it into the trash, and we shouldn't be throwing it into the trash. Reducing food waste, buying things with less packaging, following the term reduce, reuse, recycle, purchasing items from recycled material. When you think about purchasing items from recycled material, think about, say, like McDonald's and Burger King. Back then, restaurants and companies like that, they they didn't really have, they had like the paper stuff, it was from leaves and trees and stuff like that. And when you think about that, it was mainly the white paper napkins, and then you had the white bags, and then now you have the brown napkins and the brown bags, and then when you look at it, it'll show the symbol, the recycling symbol, so that's when you know that it's from recycled material. You know, then we go to composting, and then we go to buying rechargeable batteries. We have to think about all of these things. When you're growing up in school, you always hear the term reduce, reuse, recycle. I mean, that's just what we have to do. We have to follow those three things. If we want to continue living on this earth, that's what we're gonna have to do. We can't just be selfish and then think about ourselves and not think about anybody else. We have to, put everything into account at the end of the day. My sources for you guys to look at. Thank you very much. I enjoyed doing this, and you guys have a great day.